Welcome to the Not Old Better Show, the show for all of us who aren't old, we're better. Each week, we'll interview superstars, experts, and ordinary people doing extraordinary things, all related to this wonderful experience of getting better, not just older. Now, here's your host, the award-winning Paul Vogelzang.
Thank you, and welcome to the Not Old Better Show Art of Living interview series on radio and podcast. I'm Paul Vogelzang, and today's episode is brought to you by Acorns. Acorns helps you grow towards the money goals you have today and the ones you'll have tomorrow. Imagine this. You're lying in a hospital bed. The doctors say it's bad. You've had a massive heart attack. It's 3 a.m. You're alone, and just when you're ready to let go, a quiet question comes to your heart. Do you want to stay or do you want to go? Our guest today, John Stewart Hill, faced that question and chose to stay. And thank God he did. He walked out of that hospital, not just with physical damage, but with a fire in his soul. What followed was a life transformed by faith, grit, and a mission to serve others. He started the Good Contractors List, a business built on something rare these days, trust, real trust, backed by a $10,000 guarantee, no less. But this isn't just about a business, it's about purpose, redemption, and the idea that no matter your age, your past, or your pain, God's not done writing your story. This is a powerful one, folks, so settle in. You're going to hear about second chances, real integrity, and how one man rebuilt his heart, his life, and his legacy. You'll be thinking about this long after it ends. Please join me in welcoming to the Not Old Better Show Art of Living interview series on radio and podcast. I think you're going to want to hear every word of this. Our guest today is John Stewart Hill. John Stewart Hill, welcome to the program.
So good to be here. Thank you so much, Paul.
Yeah, good to talk with you too. I know a little bit about your story, and I got to tell you, it is so impressive and inspiring. I think it's a great story for the holidays. I know my audience is just going to love this story of yours, and so I want to kind of start there with my audience and kind of frame this first question about many in my audience who have lived full lives, yet they probably still do wrestle a bit with some regret or perhaps some unfinished business. Your story is amazing because over 40, you faced down a bunch of demons. You even had some challenges just kind of with a day-to-day, kind of life. What gave you the strength to kind of choose life, to embrace it, to start over at that time? Because I do think that this is a very inspiring time and a very inspiring story of yours, John Stewart Hill.
Thank you so much. When I was 42, actually, I had reached kind of the bottom. I was looking back at my past, and all I could see was disappointment. Been divorced 3 times. Really didn't have a lot of hope for the future. No career. No, I was in the Navy for 11 years. Then I just jumped from sales job to sales job and different things like that, just trying to make ends meet. But never really felt like I accomplished anything. And so at the age of 42, I had gotten to the point where I was praying that God would remove me from the planet. I didn't want to be here anymore. And I know it was 2 solid months, I was just, God, please. And I used the word, God, please kill me. That's where I was.
God.
I was just at the bottom, really didn't have any kind of hope for any kind of future. And so he gave me that opportunity. I ended up having a heart attack. It was a massive heart attack that damaged more than half my heart. And really the change happened that night whenever I was being wheeled into ICU. I was thinking, wow, if this is dying, it's really not that bad. I'm just going to get to go out. The way I was raised is that if you had a mark on your book when you get to heaven, then you're toast. and so
Your
so
toes.
so here so here I was, or yeah, for eternity. But I was
Right.
sitting there just trying to decide what is it that I want, and just this kind of out of the blue, like this really strong voice came into my heart. Well, John, do you want to stay or do you want to go? It was like, make up your mind.
Hmm.
And and I felt like it came from God. It was one of the most, it just grabbed my attention. It was pretty powerful. And so I thought about it. I was just thinking of, up to this point, I've never really touched anybody's life. I've never, I'd be remembered, but I don't know what I'd be remembered for. And, but there was, this inside me, God was saying, if you'll stay, I'll give you a purpose.
Hmm.
And I heard that more than I could hear myself saying, I want to go. So I wrestled with that. But, that desire to have a purpose
Hmm.
overrode everything. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to stay. I was like, but I actually gave him some ultimatums, really, is what it felt like. Like, I do not, I want to be remembered for doing something good, was my first thing. Is like, I just want to be remembered for doing something good in the world, and then the other, I said, I'd like to live every day, not just be alive. It's like you feel like you just exist and it's like the really no hope and all you see is your mistakes. And so I was like, I want to live every day. I don't want to just be alive. And then the last one is I want to touch as many people as I can before I leave the planet.
Mhm.
And really, I felt like the room almost shook. It was so loud, that voice inside that said, "So be it." And it
Mhm.
was confirmed, and I knew it. Cardiologist makes his way in to the hospital, and runs the dye up into my heart to, and at this point I'd already had a heart attack. So they weren't even going to put me under. So I got to watch the whole thing.
Mm.
And he was showing me on the screen, this thing that looks like a stump over here, that's 100% blockage. There's no blood getting to your heart from there.
Wow.
Over here is a 95% blockage, and you can see the trickle of blood that was just barely creeping by. It was so I'd suffered a massive heart attack. Half of my heart was pretty much scar tissue after that. He was able to put up stents, obviously, and blood returned to my heart, but I was really severely damaged coming out of that. And
Mhm.
at that point in my life, I had 3 divorces behind me. Like I said, I didn't have a career. I was selling coupons,
Mm.
and so I walked out of that hospital. Uh, Same job, same past.
Mhm.
The only thing was my future about my future that was different was I had a purpose,
Yeah,
you know?
I love that story. I love that picture behind you too, the lion and the lamb. And so I know a little bit about your story and a little bit about this idea of purpose, and it's very faith based, which I share, and I really admire that about you. So many, I think, in our audience have a faith-based purpose, perhaps. It deepens, I think, a little bit as we age. We get a little bit of perspective. But you have this really very immediate relationship with God that now has evolved throughout some of the darkness that you've suffered. How does that, the idea of this faith and purpose, continue to shape the way you lead and lead your life and lead for others today?
Well, growing up, I always felt like I had a relationship with God,
Hmm.
but I was always making mistakes, and I was really hard on myself, so I spent a lot of time being very hard on myself, and that there was not grace, that I was always striving for righteousness, always striving for that relationship. And what happened that day, that changed the course of every day since, was I realized that I can't be righteous. And I put my full dependence on his righteousness to lead and guide me. So I took all of the failure, everything else, and I just said, "You know what? I just wanna live every day in your will." And so you show me. I don't wanna listen to another sermon about how if I don't do this, then I'm going to hell, or if I don't do this, then I'm going, I mean, there was so many very, it was all performance based, and so I stopped trying to perform that day.
Hmm.
I just said, I just want to do what you want to do. And so every day since then, and I can tell you that I can't give myself any credit for any success that I've had. It's the only thing that I can say I've done, I feel like I've done right, is I've listened to what the Spirit's saying to me and I've done it. I mean, it's almost too simple, and it doesn't make sense sometimes because you wanna try to compare yourself to things, and I'm like, "No, when it's God's time, it will happen." Even, even now that the company's, going national,
Mhm.
um, I waited. That was 14 years that I just did what I was supposed to do here, and I'm like, I just haven't felt that that move yet, and so I can say that no matter how I feel like no matter how rich I am, no matter how poor I am fully complete because of me letting go. And I know that where I am is where my purpose is. I don't know how to explain that, but whenever
No, I
you
think that's
let
a great
go of
yeah.
trying to control everything, I
Uh-huh,
just
uh-huh.
yeah.
It's the same way that you've built so, let's talk for a second about the business, of course, the Good Contractors List going national, really exploding, doing some amazing things. My research says that it's just really a phenomenon, and you've built this business in very much a faith, purpose-based way, trust, accountability, something you felt was lacking in this industry. How do people in our audience kind of set some of those same goals and achieve some of the higher standards that you're achieving with the business and in your life? What are some tips that you could give us?
Well, personally, it was always, "How can I give more?" That's where I started out. It was just like, yeah, I had a lot of people in the very beginning with my business go, "John, that's just the dumbest business plan I've ever heard in my life." You
Wow.
know?
Wow.
It's like you limit how many people you can sell to by,
Yeah.
only taking the good guys, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you take greater risk by guaranteeing the work of a contractor. They're like, You know why people don't guarantee contractors? Because it's risky, it's scary, and there's not
No.
that many good ones out there, and so you could lose your." I heard people say you're gonna lose this before you even get out of the chutes. But with no money, no experience, no college, no, I mean, literally nothing, no business mind for sure. I went in every day with the thought of, "How can I make someone's life better? How can how can what I do make a difference in the world?" And it wasn't based on capitalism. It wasn't based on how much can I get, how much can I take. It was always about how much more can I give. And if there's any piece of advice that I could say to someone, is that if you become that person who says, "How much can I give?" The stuff that comes back in return seems to just be exponential. So it's just having that genuine heart of caring about people, and people see it. There's just so much fake in the world, Paul.
Right. Yeah.
So many things, especially nowadays. AI, and I mean, I don't know how many times I've gotten on Facebook and I'm laughing at this couple, and my wife will look at that's AI. It's not real.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just breaks my heart that we're getting farther and farther away from being genuine.
Mhm. Yeah, I like what you say about this idea of being genuine, and you talk about this in terms of your business and in terms of your life, that you don't really wanna just make a living per se. I mean, we all have to have some form of living, but you really wanna make a difference, and I think, again, by way of tips for our audience, so many of us are in this kind of this semi-retired state perhaps, or their second act. I feel like I'm right there in that second act kind of phase of my life. Give us
Yeah.
some advice about, using some of these later years to serve, to make a difference as opposed to just kinda make a living.
Well, I think it's just a mindset, really.
Mhm.
You've got to get past the idea that everything revolves around you, you know? And I think that we just inherently have that concept of that, it's kind of I'm the only one who's gonna make my life good, And so having that changing that mindset to say that, "What if I brought more good?" And and you really stop looking at the negative. It's changing your mind from uh, a scarcity mindset to, I'm just going to try to get along. I just need to do whatever I need to do to get along, to I have value mindset. And so if you can switch from that let's try to be comfortable phase to
Mhm.
what if I just started here?
Hmm.
There's a great book called Atomic Habits. I don't know if you've ever read it,
Mhm.
but it's about literally changing one little thing every day that's positive.
Hmm.
And if you can just while you're at the grocery store, instead of getting mad because you're in line, say
Right.
something nice to somebody. I mean, just try to do something good a little bit more every day, and you'll be amazed at how your life is gonna change, how your joy changes, how your peace changes, as
Yeah.
you just try one little thing every day, just to make somebody's day better.
We'll be right back with more from John Stewart Hill. You all know, and I have talked about this before, one of the biggest money goals I have right now is helping my grandson get a head start, whether it's for his future schooling or that first car down the road. I want to do something now that sets him up later. And I found something that helps me do just that little by little. Acorns. Acorns is this incredibly smart financial wellness app that makes it easy to grow your money. You can start investing with just your spare change. Literally, Acorns rounds up purchases and invests the extra cents. It's like digital piggy banking, only much smarter. My grandson is one, so I'm early on in this journey with him, but I've found that Acorns is the financial wellness app that wants to show a little love to everyone who is on their way. Because of this journey, my belief is that one of the best features of Acorns is the Acorns potential screen. It shows how your money could grow over time, perfect for anyone thinking about retirement, a big trip, or even helping out the next generation. The Acorns potential screen shows you the power of compounding and how your money could grow over time. Plus, you can quickly adjust how much you're investing every day, week, or month to make sure you're building towards your goals. And if you're like me and tired of juggling multiple finance apps, Acorns is all in one. Invest, save, and keep track of your progress all in one trusted place. Easy to use, even easier to stick with. So sign up now, and Acorns will give your new account a $5 bonus investment. Join the 14 million plus people who've already saved and invested over $27 billion with Acorns. Head to acorns.com/NOB or download the Acorns app to get started. All of this will be in our show notes, but remember, that's acorns.com/NOB. Paid non-client endorsement. Compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Tier 1 compensation provided. Investment involves risk. Acorns Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. View important disclosures at acorns.com/NOB. Now, just when you think the story couldn't possibly take another turn, it does. John's just walked out of the hospital, heart damage and all, but something else is changing too. A spark, a vision, a purpose he can't shake. But here's the thing. He's got no money, no roadmap, and no business experience. So how do you go from flat on your back to building a faith-based company on trust that guarantees every job with $10,000 of your own skin in the game? Well, stay with us, because what happened next might be the boldest leap of faith yet. Stay tuned. John Stewart Hill is our guest today on the program. We will have links so that our audience can find out more about John's amazing story, all the twists and turns, as well as links to more information about the Good Contractors List, which is pretty amazing story in and itself too, John. So congratulations on all your work. This is really just such cool stuff. So let's talk about kind of this idea of redefining one's legacy. Again, I get back to this idea of our audience being kind of in their second act and really having an opportunity to serve, to make a difference. What is it that you've done today that has been a kind of a spiritual change or even a physical change that you can kind of carry forward? Because I do think you're exactly right about this idea of being just focused on just that day. Do one thing.
Well, you're the second podcast I got to be on today to just tell this
There we go.
story,
There we go.
so
Yeah.
this is an amazing moment in my life because,
Yeah.
uh, when it was just Dallas-Fort Worth, I could only do so much, but now that we've decided to go national, now I can start sharing the story, and this is where I feel like, things will begin to exponentially grow in that doors open as you so there's something really important about being grateful where you are.
Yeah.
And so I start every day out just grateful. I'm grateful I'm here. I'm not saying that there's not frustrations because there's still frustrations. There's a lot of things going on in a business. There's a lot, you have to still deal with people all the time. And then not every time do I handle everything great, with positive attitude. But I can say that every day I'm very grateful. And God opens up doors when you fully grasp what he's done for you now. And if there's anything I could get into anybody's heart is be thankful and grateful for now. Forget about that past. For just learn from it, but be grateful for now and just see where God can take you.
Mhm. Yeah, you've been very open and transparent, of course, about all of your struggles and the healing too. Are you starting to see some results from some of this outreach that you're doing? Do you see some folks that are taking some of these steps and doing their own form of transformation, their own form of healing?
For sure. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I get a chance to talk to people daily. Like, that's one of my
yeah, yeah.
favorite things is I get
Sure.
to talk to people who either heard me on the radio here in Dallas-Fort Worth. I actually had, I would use a percentage of my, advertising budget to give a message out there.
Uh-huh.
And so, when I'd go speak places, I actually had a gentleman walk up to me that cornered me after I got through speaking, and he said, I just wanted to let you know that your radio ad, okay, it's a radio ad, and it was 1 minute long, but I just took the opportunity to share a little bit of positivity, especially it was all Jesus related, all gospel related.
Mhm.
And he said, I was driving down the road with my pistol laying in the seat next to me, and I was driving to go end my life.
Wow.
He goes, "Your radio ad came on for the Good Contractors List," and it was just like I said, it was the message brought by the Good Contractors List. He goes, "I don't remember what it said. All I know is that instead of shooting myself that day, I pulled off on the side of the road and just asked God to help me." And then he goes, "And today now I'm married and I have a child, and I just want you to know that your radio ad changed my life." You
Wow.
know? And so
That's powerful.
we just don't know
Yeah.
what our words are gonna do, you know?
Mhm.
What course it's gonna change because we can't see everybody's life that we touch, but everything is a ripple effect, Paul. Everything.
Mm.
And so our choices and the things that we do every day will ripple through time and it'll affect a lot of other people. We just need to understand that if we are following that that right voice, that we are and quite honestly, if we're not following the right voice, the ripple effect can go down the same path, but in the wrong direction.
Yep.
So
Yep.
make
Toast.
good decisions. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We don't want to be toast.
No, we don't. One of the things that I really found about you that was so impressive, John Stewart Hill, is this notion of yours of personal touch. You're very genuine. You come across, I have not heard your radio ads, but I'll bet you it was very genuine too, in the same way that our interview today is. And just it's who you are. I really liked the fact that you go out and you actually meet these contractors face to face in order to put together the Good Contractors List. As soon as you go national, it's going to be more difficult to do that. But so many of us just kind of rely on the digital face to face, and the human connection is so important to you.
Yes.
What is it that that has led you to believe that? And how is it that you're gonna, kind of continue this personal touch? Because I think it's a powerful one.
I think, and this is what's exciting. I mean, this is probably the most exciting thing about what has been created here with the Good Contractors List.
Mhm.
Is it is a community. Like when I first started talking to contractors about being separated from the bad guys, being guaranteed under one authority kind of deal, and they would start saying, "Oh, I know a good electrician that needs to be a part of this," and then they started helping build the community. So it's not just me being the one voice out there that's positive. It's bringing together a community. So while we can't necessarily go and sit down with every contractor face to face like we had been up to this
Mm.
point.
Right.
What we are doing is building a community where we connect these contractors. So it's a collective of contractors who are all bent on taking care of homeowners and protecting them. We bring them together, all the home services under one organization. We start networking them. We start sharing positive things over, through training or whatever it takes. But it's the community part that just really gets me excited because you think about how Jesus walked with his 12, and those 12 built communities, and those communities grew. So it's not about growing something that I'm at the top. This is something that I'm just a small part of. As soon as another person gets involved, they can bring on more people, and it just becomes a living organism. And if there's a bad guy that ends up in the system, the contractors are gonna they'll make sure that we know, "Oh, you don't want this guy in our group. We don't want this guy." And homeowners, if they start getting contractors that they think aren't holding up the level of integrity, they'll let us know. And so what we've created is a living organism. It's a movement, of real people who are genuinely wanting to do good.
Mm.
And so that's probably the most exciting. I get to lead the way in some form,
Mhm.
but the truth is we all can have that. We can all be good, and we can all join together for good. And I love this part because one day I didn't start out the Good Contractors List. I started building little small websites, and then I was like, how can I give more? And it evolved into the Good Contractors List. I was talking to a contractor, and I said, it's like being part of a Good Contractors List.
Mm.
And when I said that, I was like, oh, that should be the name of the
Mhm.
company.
Mhm.
And grabbed it, put it together, and, what my first request to God was, I wanna be remembered for doing something good, and I created this logo of the word good with a halo over it, and I did not intend for that. That was something that completely happened, and one day I was looking at it, and I felt like God was like, "Do you remember what your first request was?" And I was like, "Oh, when this becomes something, I'm actually gonna be remembered for the word good with a halo over it." It was like God's mark. Like he has orchestrated our lives, in a way that's gonna bring the most people to him, and I just hope I can play one small part in that, with the rest of my life.
Well, with this wisdom and this wonderful experience, this very genuine way of doing business that you have, what's next for you? I think I read about a book. I think I've read about some other projects, some storytelling related things. What are you going to do next?
Oh gosh, there's so many things I wanna do.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I think now what I'm doing with you, sharing the story, a little bit about the story, and I didn't go into a lot of depth with it, but, God has done some miraculous things. I do have a book that I wanna write. I've got one that I've already written called Loving God Without All the Answers, and you can look that up,
yep. Put
to
links to
find
it.
it.
Yep.
Yep. So, um I really feel like there's another level, that God wants to go with the church, and so back in 2019, before COVID ever hit, I started getting this idea that I wanted to help people build community and built a website called Find a House Church,
Mm.
where people could actually go on there, look for house churches, like people who are meeting in their homes and stuff. And at the time, I didn't understand why. I was like, "Why am I doing this?" And then COVID hit, and all the churches got shut down. I was like, "Oh, man," so it's about building community. I think that's where what my future holds for me is that I get a chance to build communities in so many ways.
John Stewart Hill, founder of the Good Contractors List, a man of faith, a wonderful guest. John, again, congratulations for all you're doing. I'll just speak selfishly for a moment and just say, I'd love to have you back. I know your story is going to unfold in lots of different ways. I know you're very busy, but I'll reach out again because I know our audience is just going to be inspired by all the things that you're doing, inspired by your story and your wonderful message. So thank you for that. And have a great holiday and be well. And we will talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
Remember, today's episode was brought to you by Acorns. Acorns helps you grow towards the money goals you have today and the ones you'll have tomorrow. Please support our show and support Acorns. What a remarkable conversation with John Stewart Hill. Proof that sometimes the most broken chapters of our lives are the ones that end up building the strongest foundations. From a hospital bed and a heart nearly stopped to a business powered by faith, integrity, and purpose, John Stewart Hill reminded us today that it's never too late to live a life that matters, whether you're starting over at 50, 60, or 75. Today's episode should encourage you to stay in the light, trust your story, and most of all, be your word. To hear more stories like John's, visit us at notold-better.com, where you can catch this episode and hundreds more in our back catalog. We'd love to connect with you. Follow us on Twitter at notoldbetter and on Instagram at notoldbetter for updates behind the scenes and daily doses of inspiration. This has been a production of NOB Studios. I'm Paul Vogelzang. Thanks for spending time with us today. Be well, be safe. Let's talk about better. The Not Old Better Show on radio and podcast. Thanks, everybody. Happy holidays, and we will see you next time.